And welcome back to Who Would Win. It's the week of Who Would Win, and it's the month of Halloween, so most of these are going to be horror-themed, sci-fi themed. I've thrown two in that aren't just for a little variety, but the majority of them are going to be themed that way. And we have, from Egotistical Ghost, Negan versus Leatherface. Now, I don't know if even Egotistical Ghost was the only person who gave me a suggestion. It did seem that way, so if someone else had, just let me know. I'll put you in the description. But I guess I could kind of see this matchup in some way. One's in like a zombie apocalypse. He's got that. He's a bit southern. He definitely got the tough guy motif. The other's an inbred head of a household cannibal, mass murderer. So yeah, take that for what it's worth. Negan. Now, I'll admit, I didn't read the comics or watch much of the series, but I do know at least enough about Negan. Negan was, one of many survivors, but unlike others, he went in the more I'm going to kill people because I can and assert my dominance, because, man's nature is not much more different than the zombies and all that stuff. So, as such, though, and I mean, this is a picture of him later in the series. I'm assuming the dark eyes are makeup and not the actor. Like Jeffrey Dean Morgan's like, oh God, is something wrong with Jeffrey Dean Morgan? Oh no, it's just the makeup. And the character's supposed to probably get a little, emaciated as the thing goes on. He was a guy who was in relatively good shape. He knew he could fight on even keel with like Rick and stuff like that. He was just a guy. He has Lucille. He's got his wired baseball bat to bash people in the head in. It's like, you're gonna be crying, you're gonna be doing a lot of crying that, and just beating him to a pulp. Yeah, he's not afraid to fight dirty. He's also, smart and can talk. He's not dumb. So he's definitely someone that you don't want to mess with if you don't have something to fight him with. Like if you got a firearm versus Lucille, then you're good to go. Or if you're like, Mahoney, where you got a katana versus a baseball bat, then yeah, you're good to go. But I do know some of the characters' names. I'm not completely unfamiliar with Walking Dead. I just never got it. I never watched it myself. Like I watched the first two episodes. I'm like, I don't like zombies. I just don't like zombies that much. I just don't find them very entertaining, if I'm going to be frank. But anyway, yeah, that's about what Negan can bring to the table. I don't think Negan regularly carries a firearm on him. I don't think. If he does, then this match is over immediately. He just shoots Leatherface and it's the end of the game. But I don't think he regularly carries one. Leatherface. Now, Leatherface's actual name, I don't think we really know, do we? We know that. I think we know the family name. Leatherface's real name. Oh yeah, Leatherface's real name. Do we actually know it? Okay, in the original Jump to the original series, in the continuity, his real name is actually Thomas Brown Hewitt. His mother Sloane died giving birth to him at the Meat Co. slaughterhouse where she worked, and her uncaring boss leaves the infant to die in a dumpster. Hewitt finds him and takes him in to raise him. So yes, at least in the original series, he did have a real name. Yeah, they keep going with the Thomas Brown Hewitt. So yeah, they keep going with it. Leatherface is the head patriarch of the household, which he lives in, the Hewitt household, if you will. All of his family is kind of either deformed, or I think like one of the elders was in the war and got hit by mustard gas and still has the wounds from it. Mustard gas is terrible. There's a reason it got banned. But they're either formed, they're hillbilly, they're inbred, they're the worst possible image you could think for, evil Southerners, if you will. They're cannibals, obviously. So obviously to put meat on the table, he kills people. Leatherface is been widely depicted as not being an intelligent individual. In fact, it's often been, I don't think it's been flat out stated, but pretty much all but said that he has some sort of mental defect. I don't know if it's true mental retardation, but it is He is slow. He's not bright. In fact, how he reacts a lot of time isn't like out of sheer terror or anything like that. It's actually out of fear, like, oh God, attack you. Um, I mean, sure, he's still very imposing and goes out of his way to kill people, but it's more like a very large child reacting on base emotions: fear, instinct, hunger, joy, rage, all that. But that being said, he's not like, depending on your interpretation. Some interpretations he's more in shape than others. He's generally depicted as being, while not a athletic individual, a very beefy, physically powerful individual, although not a, although not a, not like a Jason or Michael who are just supernaturally strong. He's just a, regular, um, he's just a regular kind of beefy guy. And obviously his main weapon he has is his chainsaw, which it's a chainsaw. I can't really explain more about that than I already can. Though he does carry like a meat hammer on him as well, when he in one scene in the original, he opened up the door, surprised one of the kids, and just boom, clacked him right in the head. Just boom, and then it's like at that point, like the guy's just like twitching and he's spasming, and just kind of like, nope. So yeah, it's pretty brutal. Like the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre is a pretty brutal film. I heard someone in a list recently actually say that was they thought he was scarier than Jason, Michael, or Freddy. And in a sense, I can actually understand why someone would think that, because of the four big ones, and he would be under the four big ones. He is the most realistic one, because the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original one, the story itself isn't based on a true event. It's based on a compilation of true events into one movie. But it is based on some real life events. So the idea that this is the most realistic of the horror slashers, I understand why it could be deemed the scariest one. I've never personally felt that way myself. I actually feel like he'd be the easiest one to beat out of any of them. All you gotta do is get a chainsaw out of his hand, which if you are someone like, one of the tougher individuals in the horror movie and actually can try to fight him, it actually wouldn't be as hard as you'd think. Getting the chainsaw out of his hand, just have something in your hand to hit him in the hand, have him drop the chainsaw, and then beat the living crap out of him. After that, I'd say Michael's probably the second easiest to take down, simply before the fact that of the four main ones, he is still technically human. He's just supernaturally enhanced, at least depending on the version. Then Jason is probably the toughest one to put down. Freddy falls into a very odd category. Why we're talking about that, I don't know. Now, there is a catch-22 here, in that depending on the circumstance in which Leatherface is fighting, he might have his family at his side to maybe just shoot you down. But in this case, we're just going to factor him in as a one-on-one fight. So these two meet up. Let's say, honestly, we already saw there were cannibals in with Walking Dead. Why not just say that they're because they're in Texas? Why not they're just a cannibal family in Texas eating random survivors? Easy to go with. And Negan just happens to be rolling through. Maybe his car, whatever vehicle he stole is out of gas. Like, excuse me, anyone home? And I'm just looking for a little roadside assistance. He's just got Lucille there. And he can tell there's you can maybe even see some, actually, I would imagine places like Texas. You want to talk, because I believe The Walking Dead takes place in Georgia, Louisiana, in the southern states like that. But you want to talk about states where the heat would be detrimental as F to the zombies? Texas. I can only imagine how, that's the thing. The Walking Dead, for all the flack it does get from some fans, and I am partly among them, I will say, the natural decomposition they show of the zombies is very effective, because it shows that a true zombie apocalypse, unless this is more like the I Am Legend type of zombie apocalypse, where it's more like a bioengineered zombie, if we're talking about the dead rising and moving and attacking and all that, the zombie apocalypse will wear itself out, because there's no way in hell that the zombies last more than a few months, and especially in the heat of summers, or in the cold of winters, because biology takes effect, and they're going to decompose at a much faster rate until they're basically nothing more than skeletons. Or their joints they're going to literally freeze up and just turn into frozen statues at that point. So, and then, then animals will come and just devour them. Or not the animal. As far as we can tell in the Walking Dead universe, the animals were not affected by the zombie virus. So animals would just feed on the walking corpses, and there you go. Anyway, so Negan's walking around the house, and he does hear movement. It's like, anyone home? But he's got Lucille ready. He's like, I'm not liking this. I take that back. He does carry a knife on him too. I just don't think he carries a gun on him. I'm looking at that right now just to be 100% certain. I mean, don't get me wrong. His first go-to weapon would probably be Lucille. So that would be the thing he probably starts the fight out with. Negan as a character. Okay, Negan as a character. What does Negan normally have on his person in terms of weaponry? Let's see here. Wait, relationships. Lucille, his bat. Yeah, he's talking. Sorry, when you go to a wiki page, you talk about his relationships. Lucille was his wife. Okay, I didn't see. This is why at least in the comics, I didn't know about that. See that actually puts a lot more spin on why he named the bat that. All right, that's cool. Weaponry. Overview. Okay, casual, jovial, stats, late baseball bat, usually obsessed, obsession with taking affection. Meng that uses Lucille as a measure. Okay, that's weird. They revealed it's his wife. Yeah, it doesn't really say much about what he carries, but yeah, I have to assume he also carries a knife because I remember him slicing up walker hides in one episode because he was partnered with that group who wore the dead skin of walkers and hid among them. So spoilers, not that I think anyone cares. So Leatherface shows up, probably does the whole thing where he shows up from behind the meat locker. But again, dealing with walkers for so long and other people, Negan is probably a lot more reactive and able to say, holy crap, and kind of sees the hammer, but he gets out of the way, just throws Lucille in there and kind of knocks the hammer back. Unfortunately, let's be clear, Lucille as a baseball bat, and a Louisville Slugger kind of baseball bat, it's durable, but it's a bat nonetheless. It's not able, it can only take so much damage. And against the chainsaw, it's not going to hold up very well. But that being said, he's able to knock the hammer out of his hands. All right, what the hell's going on? All right, buddy, you want to dance? Me and Lucille can go all night long. And Leatherface is actually surprised. His hands hurt. And just brings out the chainsaw, just gets the chainsaw revving and comes out. Oh, you come on, really, dude, or really, man? And then they're kind of clashing. Now, to be fair, Lucille's not going to break something by a clash, like a sword fight, if you will, with a chainsaw. But if Leatherface is bringing the chainsaw down and Lucille's blocking, that's exactly what a chainsaw is designed to do: is to cut through wood. And to cut through a baseball bat would not take much effort, even if you're going with a thick part of the baseball bat with the wire on there. The wire might hinder the chainsaw to a degree, but the way we see it wrapped around Lucille, there are enough openings that the chainsaw would probably end up hitting the wood, not the wire. Now that being said, it's still going to be tough for Leatherface to actually cut the baseball bat because the baseball bat's a much more fluid, a much quicker, more agile weapon for someone to use. So, but at the same time, there's a lot more heft and power behind a chainsaw and cutting power. So they're kind of going back and forth, but Negan's also a smaller guy comparatively to Leatherface, much smarter. So he's actually able to bypass chainsaw and start beating the living hell out of Leatherface. Leatherface is probably just, starts waving the chainsaw wildly. Eventually, he probably does. Negan does have to block with Lucille, and then he realizes that Lucille's going to get cut through, so he has to ban Lucille, pulls that knife, and then just grabs the guy with a chainsaw on his chainsaw arm, so he can't actually cut him, and just starts stabbing him beyond belief until he can until he just goes down, just slices his throat, whatever. And then afterwards, the family gets in, and Negan just hightails his ass out of there. So why do I think Negan takes the win? I think Negan takes the win for several reasons. A, Negan's not afraid of anyone. Like, unlike the kid of the teenager in the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, he's not going to stare in Leatherface in awe and shock and fear and then just get a meat hammer to the head. No, Negan's going to react. So there's that. Negan's also, like I just said, smarter. He's had more experience dealing with just savages to begin with. He himself is no saint. He's also, I think, honestly, just had more experience actually killing people. Well, let me rephrase that. Fighting people rather than just killing people. He's also faster. Lucille's a much more agile weapon to use than a chainsaw, which means he's going to get more hits in on Leatherface than Leatherface gets in on him. And the fact that he has a knife on him means that he can go in for a secondary attack. And believe it or not, between the two, Negan, I think, is actually the more savage individual. Now, that's a weird statement to say when you're talking about a guy who kills people and eats them. But when you actually think about it, in terms of what he's willing to do to survive, he's not just willing to, he's not going to eat people. We know he's not doing that. But he has done some dirty shit. I believe he's taken out one of Carl's eyes. He was the one who burned Carl's face, and I believe took out his eye or something like that. He beat, oh God, what was the name of the guy who he beat his head in for no reason other than he could, and he got enjoyment out of it too. That was the really messed up thing. He cut the leader of the, don't know what they were called, the ones that wore the walker skin. He cut her throat and basically just mounted her head. It's like he has no qualms about fighting dirty or how to. It's kind of like when Rick bit the throat of that guy, tore the guy's throat out with his own teeth in that one scene in episode and in the comic. It's like Negan is kind of even more savage than that. And because he's smarter, because he's faster, because he's got more options, and because he kind of will just keep fighting until one of you guys is dead, I would have to say Negan's actually going to take this fight. Now, again, if the family shows up, and they have firearms, then Negan's screwed. That's just the way it is, because they'll have no qualms about shooting him dead. But if that's the case, then this isn't a real fight between the Leatherface and Negan. It's a fight between the Hewitt family and Negan, in which case, Negan's one man versus several who also do have firearms. So, including the sheriff, I believe, was in on that. Like the main cop we see was in on that. Ultimately, though, I gotta go Negan. What's your thoughts? Put it in the comments below. But thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Those who want us to review something, put in the comments below. Let us know we'll do a review at some point. Ideas for who would win Star Wars, Super Magic, what if anything to do with the channel. Put that in the comments below as well. I'll get that at some point. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Hit that bell if you want notifications.